Greetings everybody, it's Rob from Sage Tower Games, and we are here with another video from the Secrets of Magic book for Pathfinder 2nd edition. And this one's going to be talking about the Thassilonian Rune Magic, or Thassilonian Magic, Sin Magic, however you want to call it. And they have some extra rules and stuff how to play with this type of magic in Pathfinder 2nd edition. So for those of you that are familiar with Pathfinder, you may know the Runelords were these powerful wizards from ancient times that had ruled various territories that kind of make up Thassilonian and Rhaetia kind of region, and they each one embraced a different school of magic, and more importantly, a kind of a sin connected to that magic. Now, spoilers for anybody who may not have seen all the different events of paths, but Return of the Runelords kind of gets you through most of the Runelords coming back, and there's only a few left. I think Sortion and Belemarius are the two Runelords that may survive that adventure path, and they've kind of made this new Thassilonian region to kind of rule, where you can kind of the term Runelord is no longer designated for just the 7 leaders, but now anybody could technically be a Runelord. And we're gonna go into kind of how you can play and be a Runelord in Pathfinder 2nd edition. So the way it works is there's 7 schools. There's 8 schools. Divination is the 8th school of magic, but none of the Thassilonian wizards kind of consider that worth mastering, but kind of always having it in your pocket. And the way it works is you pick one specific school to kind of focus in, and then the 2 other schools are prohibited, meaning that you can't take any spells from those 2 schools. None. So for instance, Abjuration recognizes is the school of envy, basically. And you can see it says prohibited evocation and necromancy. So you can't take either of those schools. And you can kind of go down a bit. Conjuration is sloth, no evocation or illusion. Enchantment is lust, evocation is wrath, illusion is pride, necromancy is gluttony, and transmutation is greed. And it kind of lists different prohibited schools, as well as special spells that you kind of get as part of this Runelord study. Now the way it works is, and we're going to go to the Runelord class archetype. The first part is you choose one of the 7 vices we just mentioned. And when you do that, you learn an additional rune spell, which we kind of saw from those slots. You get that. And you get some extra focus points that you can use. And you also, if you indulge in your sin, whatever the sin that connects to your particular school is, you can actually refocus more of your points quicker. You also train in polearms, which is another interesting thing. A lot of the Runelords back in old time had polearms as a weapon. So you do have an ability to actually cast or use with a weapon. And here it goes, it says you lose the ability, let me scroll up for you guys. You lose the ability to prepare or cast any spell from your school's prohibited schools. Meaning you can't even activate scrolls or wands or anything with them. When you take the Runelord dedication feat, you gain an additional cantrip of your chosen arcane school, and each time you gain a level, you add an additional spell from your chosen arcane school to your spellbook. So basically, every time you level up, you gain an additional spell from that school. So that kind of is the exchange for your ability of kind of, you lose 2 schools, but you gain access to a lot more spells for that particular type. Another feat, you guys embed Aeon Stone or Ioun Stone, I think is how it's called in old D&D, but here we call it Aeon Stones. And these are basically these little stones that normally they give you some magical properties, And normally they have to, when they activate, they kind of orbit around your head. But Runelords like to have this thing where they take them, and instead of having them kind of rotate around your head, you actually embed them into your skin. So you put them into your, your arm, your face, your chest, wherever you want to go. And pretty much it prevents the stone from either being noticed or from being seen or stolen. Because technically, if a stone is floating around your head, there's not much stopping someone from just going oop and just grabbing it off your head, technically. So you can do this to essentially keep a stone on you at all times. And on resonance, some stones have the ability that when you put them in a wayfinder, which is like a Pathfinder compass, it enhances the properties of the Aeon stone, giving you special abilities on top of them. And you pretty much can do this with the stone that's embedded in you. So it's a way to really enhance if you want to go for those Aeon stones embedded in you style of being a Runelord. Polearm tricks gives you the critical specialties for polearms. So if you really want to go into those polearms. Sin Reservoir. During your daily preparations, you can indulge in your associated sin. When you do, you gain 1 additional spell slot of any spell level up to 2 levels below the highest level wizard slot. So basically, by you indulging in your sin, you can gain an additional spell slot, two levels lower, but it's an additional spell slot for just that school, so it gives you more spells to cast. It does say, obviously, depending on what your act is and what your sin is, it may change your alignment moving forward if you indulge in it too long. So you gotta be careful with that, and that you don't be too evil with it. Use polearm is when your arcane bonded item is your polearm. So basically, you make the polearm your bonded item, and then you can fuse it with a staff. So basically, the staff would become the actual haft of the weapon. So then you can, instead of just having to walk around on staff, you're walking around the polearm that has the staff's abilities. So pretty much everything about the staff is still there. But if you want to attack with it, it's still a polearm to attack with it. And if you took like polearm tricks, now you have a crit specialization effect for your polearm on top of that. So you can be a bit of a battle wizard right there between those two. And you can kind of see, I'll zoom out a little bit, the image that they give of a Runelord here. This one looks to be, if I had to guess, gluttony looks to be, based on the symbol that is on her like tabard. This would be a gluttony Runelord. School counterspell. This is a cool one. This is probably one of the few ones I think that's actually maybe worthwhile you would want to do it. And pretty much, it lets you counter spells from that school. So say you're on like an evocation type of Runelord, so Wrath. You don't have to have a counterspell with the same spell. It just has to match the same school. Someone casts a Fireball, all you need to do is waste an evocation spell, and you can counterspell with that. And considering that that's your main school, you'll probably have a lot of those. Combine that with maybe Sin Reservoir, so you have that one extra one to kind of give you an extra chance to counterspell some. Now you do need to counterspell Feet, but other than that, keep in mind that's a pretty good one. And then you also can do School Spell Redirection, which is pretty much if you crit succeed when you make your counterspell check, or if you succeed with using a spell level of a higher level than the one you use to redirect, you can actually redirect the spell back. So pretty much, the spell is, you get to cast a spell back at them with it. At level 18, you're looking at probably level 8, level 9 spells being thrown around, potentially, so that can do a lot of damage back with the right time or the right effect, depending on what it may be. Then we have most of the initial rune spells are kind of in the book already. The only new one is Efficient Apport, which targets one unturned object. It's a conjuration. The cool. And basically, walking over to an object is a lot of effort, so basically you teleport the object to your hand. So you can target just free teleportation for an item that's nearby. This next part is this little article insert from Queen Sortian, who is the Runelord of Lust from the old ones, and how she kind of talks about runes and rune magic. Talks about the Sahedron, so those of you who have played Shattered Star or probably know about this, or either Rise of the Runelords or Return, and it has seen this kind of symbology of the 7-pointed star with the different symbols, each one representing a different sin or a different school of magic. And kind of talks about all the different sizes. So that is essentially the wrap for Thassilonian Rune Magic. And the reason why I wanted to make this video was I'm a big fan of the Runelords and that kind of the whole lore behind them as a thing. And like this, for example, looks to probably be the old statue of Kozog, based on the stones and everything, and the polearm, probably Kozog from Rise of the Runelords. Now, this kind of magic is a special thing, and I feel like it's always been a bit of a struggle with this kind of magic because you have to really fine-tune your character, because you lose 2 axes of your schools, and just scrolling down to your schools, for instance, take something like Evocation, you lose your Abjuration and your Conjuring. Conjuration is your summoning spells. Abjuration is a lot of your like dispel magic type of effects. You know, Conjuration, for instance, gives you a lot of summoning spells, but you lose Evocation and Illusion, you know, so you can see right there, you're losing some of your major spell choices there. So you have to be careful on how you pick and how you want to actually play your character. So with that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video talking about Thassilonian magic. It is one of my favorite types of magic, like I've said before, and I really hope to possibly make a character of this one time and play it and kind of make a true Runelord character. So thank you guys for watching this video, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Pathfinder 2nd Edition content.